Hello, and welcome to Be Still and Know. Today's video is going to be a continuation of the Ancient Astronaut Theory video series that I've been doing, and that is going to be on features of ancient astronaut theory, mysterious ancient structures built using advanced mathematics methods and tools, and this one is on the Pacific. So let's quickly go over our ancient astronaut theory definition one more time. Ancient astronaut theory, sometimes referred to as ancient alien theory, is the idea that intelligent, self-aware, extraterrestrial, interdimensional, inner Earth-dwelling, or even time-traveling beings visited Earth and made contact with humans in antiquity and prehistoric times. Proponents suggest that this contact influenced the development of modern cultures, technologies, architecture, religions, and even human biology. A common position is that deities from most, if not all, religions are extraterrestrial in origin, and that advanced technologies brought to Earth by ancient astronauts were interpreted as evidence of divine status by early beings. Alright, and we're going to go into today, starting with Polynesia, and this is the moai on Easter Island in eastern Polynesia. Moai are monolithic human figures carved from soft lapilli tough volcanic rock. Nearly half are still at Ryukyu, the main moai quarry, but hundreds were transported from there up to 15 miles away and set on stone platforms called ahu around the island's perimeter. Almost all moai have overly large heads, 3/8 the size of the whole statue. The moai are chiefly the living faces, aringa ora, of deified ancestors, Aringa Ora Atatapuna. The statues still gazed inland across their clan lands when Europeans first visited the island in 1722, but all of them had fallen by the latter part of the 19th century. The production and transportation of the more than 900 statues is considered a remarkable creative and physical feat. The tallest moai erected, called paro, was almost 33 feet high and weighed 90.4 tons. The heaviest moai erected was a shorter but squatter moai at Ahu Tongariki, weighing 94.8 tons. One unfinished sculpture, if completed, would have been approximately 69 feet tall, with a weight of about 145 to 165 tons. It is unknown how the stones were moved, leaving some to suspect sound levitation was used to move the moai to the island's shore. Oral histories recount how various people used divine power to command the statues to walk. The earliest accounts say a king named Tukuihu moved them with the help of the god Makemake, while later stories tell of a woman who lived alone in the mountains ordering them about at her will. Some local stories claim that spherical stones, such as one found in the Ryukyu quarry, were used to focus mind power called mana that was used to levitate the moai or have anti-gravity effects so they could be walked to the desired location. A curious fact is that all the moai were positioned on the edge of the island, looking inward and slightly up, as if protecting the island or waiting expectantly for someone to land in the center. Some believe the moai could have represented a people, possibly extraterrestrial, that had flight abilities and other advanced technologies that gave this technology to the original inhabitants of Easter Island. The moai were toppled in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, possibly as a result of European contact or internecine tribal wars. So right here we have some images of the moai, and in the middle is that stone at Ryukyu quarry, which was supposedly used to help harness mana. And that is a very similar stone to some of the other spheres that we've seen in the ancient world in Costa Rica and in Bosnia, the Bosnian spheres, and it could be that these giant stones were used to be some kind of conductor or some kind of magnetic frequency generator that would be able to allow somebody to use that energy to levitate stones. It's very strange that there are so many stories around the world of huge stones being levitated with magnetic power. So this could be another instance of sound levitation, technology that's in the past. Alright, the next area that we're going to go over is Nan Madol. This is on Temwan Island in the Federated States of Micronesia. Nan Madol is an archaeological site adjacent to the eastern shore of the island of Pohnpei, now part of the Madolinum district of Pohnpei State in the Federated States of Micronesia in the western Pacific Ocean. Nan Madol was the capital of the Sadalur dynasty until about 1628. Comprised of a set of almost 100 stone and coral-filled platforms, atop artificial islands separated by narrow channels, and enclosed by an outer seawall, the site core of its stone walls encloses an area approximately 1.5 kilometers long by 0.5 kilometers wide. Nan Madol is the only ancient city ever built upon a coral reef. Nan Madol is an engineering marvel that is yet to be explained by modern engineering. Despite the enormity of the undertaking in building the city, no records exist as to when exactly it was built, where the enormous rocks came from, or how they were transported there, and for what reason it was constructed on top of a reef. The name Nan Madol means within the the intervals and is a reference to the canals that crisscross the ruins. The original name was Sunnanlang, Reef of Heaven, according to Gene Ashby in his book Pompeii in Island Argosy. The ruined city is one of today's great archaeological enigmas and is sometimes called Atlantis, the eighth wonder of the world, or Venice of the Pacific. The islets are built using giant basalt columns. Each basalt log weighs between 5 to 50 tons. The walls of the city are 25 feet tall and 17 feet thick. In order for the city to have been built, people would have had to move over 2,000 tons a year over 300 years. The natives that currently inhabit the area do not live in Nan Madol and avoid it altogether. They believe it is a cursed place and was built by ghost hands. It is called the City of Ghosts. A legend says that anyone who explores the ruins will die. People often see lights in the city at night. The locals say the ancient builders used magic, and a powerful magician living in the well-inhabited region on the northwest of the island was solicited to help build the structure. He was said to have used sounds of varying pitch and made basalt logs fly through the air like birds and settle down in their appointed places. This is reminiscent of sound levitation or frequency technology that could have been used at other ancient sites like Stonehenge to create an anti-gravity effect to move giant stones. While making a documentary movie about Nan Madol for the Discovery Channel in 1995, all attempts to transport panels weighing over 1 ton failed. There are no written records on the island's history, and the legend has been kept alive by word of mouth only. The local practice of keeping secrets is considered sacred and is one of the obstacles to learning more about their past. The local king Namuarki made a proclamation saying to all, to disrupt the holy ground that once belonged to past rulers with supernatural powers would be breaking the law. Time and again, he made it clear that to disturb the hallowed ground that once belonged to the old rulers with supernatural powers meant a legal breach. Time and again, tragedy struck those who defied the ban. Namuarki threatened any Western archaeologists with capital punishment should they break the law and dig. Nevertheless, jewelry and other artifacts that were buried with the chiefs were plundered. In 1874, the boat of a Polish anthropologist named Jan Kubry carrying artifacts from Nan Madol was shipwrecked near the Marshall Islands after it departed. Hundreds of crates sank to the bottom of the ocean, and with them went much of Nan Madol's history. Early in the 20th century, the island was under German rule. The governor at the time, Victor Berg, disregarded the royal ban and entered the site. Despite having been warned, he opened a sealed tomb coffin of the ancient island rulers. In it, he found the skeletal remains of giants measuring 2 to 3 meters tall. Upon his arrival back the next morning, he said Nan Madol was alive with spiritual activity during the night. There was a wild storm with lightning flashes in the sky and torrential rains pounding down on the island. Governor Victor Berg lay in delirium and reported hearing the sounds of a conch shell blowing and seeing floating balls of light. A few hours later, on that very same morning, on April 30th, 1907, Governor Berg mysteriously died. The German physician serving on the island could not determine the cause of death, but modern doctors believe it could have been due to insect-related illness like malaria or sunstroke or heat exhaustion. To the natives, his death was further proof of the supernatural powers that guard the city of the dead. The locals also believe there are further structures near Nan Madol at an underwater city called Kanamweso. When the Japanese controlled the island prior to the outbreak of World War II, they reportedly hauled away several platinum caskets from an underwater site close to Nan Madol called the House of the Dead. The divers discovered huge coffins underwater, broke them apart, and hauled up pieces of platinum. Suddenly, the main exports of Pohnpei to Japan, vanilla, copra, sago, and mother of pearl, were supplanted by the valuable white metal platinum. On one of the expeditions, 2 divers on the blasphemous mission to the House of the Dead vanished. Because of plundering by Europeans and the Japanese, few artifacts are left at Nan Madol for archaeologists to discover. Okay, so Nan Madol is another site that was built using sound levitation. So just like Stonehenge, just like the pyramids, just like Coral Castle, this might be another site that was built using sound levitation. Okay, let's move on to the waters off Japan, and this is called the Yonaguni Monument, underwater off Yonaguni Island in the Ryukyu Islands of Japan. Yonaguni Monument, also known as Yonaguni Island Submarine Ruins, is a submerged rock formation off the coast of Yonaguni, the southernmost of the Ryukyu Islands in Japan. It lies approximately 100 kilometers east of Taiwan. Marine geologist Masaki Kimura claims that the formations are man-made stepped monoliths. Neither the Japanese Agency for Cultural Affairs nor the government of Okinawa Prefecture recognize the features as important cultural artifacts, and neither government agency has carried out research or preservation work on the site. The unique and awe-inspiring site was discovered in 1995 by a diver who strayed too far off the Okinawa shore and was dumbstruck when he stumbled upon the sunken arrangement of monolithic blocks as if terraced into the side of a mountain. The structure sparked instant controversy and attracted crowds of diving archaeologists, media, and curious hobbyists, none of whom were able to ascertain its identity. Late in the following year, more serious attempts were made to gather data and map out the structure. The process revealed many surprising findings, including what appears to be a massive arch or gateway of huge stone blocks which appeared to fit together perfectly, right-angled joins, carvings, and what appeared to be stairways, paved streets with crossroads and grand staircases leading to plazas surrounded by pairs of towering features resembling pylons. Proponents of the view that the site is man-made point out features such as 2 round holes about 2 feet wide and a straight row of smaller holes that appear to have been an attempt to split off a section of the rock by means of wedges, as in ancient quarries. Professor Masaki Kimura, a marine seismologist of the University of the Ryukyus, also pointed out a number of marks such as a plus sign and a V shape that appear to show that human beings worked on the stone and could have been made by wedge-like tools called kusabi. Kimura first estimated that the monument must be at least 10,000 years old, dating it to a period when it would have been above water, and therefore surmised that the site may be a remnant of the mythical lost continent of Mu. In a report given to the 21st Pacific Science Congress in 2007, he revised his estimate and dated it to 2,000 to 3,000 years ago because the sea level then was close to current levels. He suggests that after construction, tectonic activity caused it to be submerged below sea level. Kimura believes he can identify a pyramid, castles, roads, monuments, and a stadium. He now believes that these structures are remnants of Yamati, a legendary place spoken of in ancient Chinese and Japanese texts. Supporters of artificial origins such as writer Graham Hancock also argue that while many of the features seen at Yonaguni are also seen in natural sandstone formations throughout the world, the concentration of so many peculiar formations in such a small area is highly unlikely. They also point out the relative absence of loose blocks on the flat areas of the formation, which would be expected if they were formed solely by natural erosion and fracturing. However, Robert Schock has noted that the rocks are swept with strong currents. While many of the features seen at Yonaguni are also seen in natural sandstone formations throughout the world, the concentration of so many peculiar formations and 90-degree angles in such a small area seems peculiar. The resemblance to structures at the ancient site of Sacsayhuaman in Quenco, Peru is also uncanny. So my interpretation of the Yonaguni monument is that it was man-made, and it was either a site itself or it could have been a quarry where they were using the rock to chip into slabs to use and build in other places. But the fact that it's underwater shows that it was done such a very long time ago that we've obviously forgotten about this part of our history. And it could be from an ancient lost continent like Mu, or it could be from Yamatai, which is what the Chinese and Japanese believe was an ancient lost continent as well. And so it could be that we've just forgotten this part of history. And of course, this structure looks very similar to ancient structures at Sacsayhuaman, which we believe are very much older than archaeologists want to admit. So again, very strange how similar all these ancient structures seem to be in their construction and in the ways that they were made. Okay. So that is the end of our Features of Ancient Astronaut Theory, Mysterious Ancient Structures Built with Advanced Mathematics, Methods, and Tools, and this was the Pacific. So thank you again for joining me at Be Still and Know with Adam. Remember that if you like this video and you like this new series, please like and subscribe to my channel. Please feel free to support me so that I can continue to get better at editing and get better equipment. And remember that no matter what comes your way, it's going to be a great day. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you later.